think we're live. Yep, we're live. All right, so let's do the clap. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Hunters Hub, the video game podcast born of the Monster Hunter community. Welcome, Sasha, my co-host. This is Vortwan. Sorry, I really backwards that today.
Hi, welcome.
Hey, thanks. We have good friend, guest, Steve. Welcome back, Steve.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hi, I'm Steve. I'm
Hi,
a frequent,
Steve.
not frequent, I'm occasional guest.
Yeah. We enjoy having you on. To explain, Pan used to be on the show. Steve is a good friend of Pan's. In fact, married.
Real good.
Yeah, we're married.
Yeah.
That was.
I was being
like, does he not know?
No, I know. I was actually gonna call on you. I called on Pan, but I was gonna call on you too if she didn't answer. I needed some help because I wanted to categorize some of the doom metal music. I was like, I need to know what kind of metal this is so I can find more of it because I actually enjoy it.
I know like one doom metal band, and they're pretty obscure. Doom metal's, I respect it. It's just not really what I typically listen to.
Well, I'm not talking about the genre.
And neither does Chelsea.
It was from the game Doom, and it had a metal song, and there's like,
oh, the game.
Yeah.
Doom. Okay, so doom metal is a subgenre of metal, which is bands that emulate the sound of Black Sabbath.
Oh, did not know that. Okay, that's something I learned today. All right. Well, I heard, I don't know, something popped up on my YouTube feed. It was like, so-and-so reacts to, like it's one of the Doom songs. The only thing they fear is you is the name of the song. And I was like, all right, I need to see this. Cause like, it's a good song. But I didn't remember it. And I got really into it for like, I was listening to it like over and over again for like a couple hours. And I was like, all right, I need to find something like this. Cause I'm going to burn out on this.
You just look up that band and just start listening to their other stuff.
Well, it's Mick Gordon mostly, but then they brought in it's really weird because they brought in that other guy. I can't remember his name, because Mick Gordon had like a public fallout with Bethesda because like Bethesda was like, hey, awesome, you did the arc for us and you do a really good job, but like, could you get that album done you promised? And then he's basically like, yeah, I'll do it, and he never did it. So, like, they just did it themselves, and then it became a big public fight, so they hired someone else to do the DLC. So, and
Gotcha.
Here we are. Speaking of which, we're going to be talking about DLC today. So our topic is our favorite DLCs, which doesn't include expansions. We will specifically say, so stuff like, Wrath of the Lich King, or if you're looking for Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, that's not going to be here because those are expansions. We're talking specifically just DLC, and we also have a dishonorable mention today because today's one of our wildcard episodes because we have a random, not a random, but one of our rare 5th episode in a month episodes. And today is the last day of May, so it came on the tail end of it. Not May, April. Tomorrow's May. I'm all sorts of over the place. All right. So, I gotta pull up my list. There it is. And so, how do we want to start tonight? Do you want to start with our guest Steve for first DLC tonight?
I think so.
Okay. So, Steve, start us up.
Yeah. So this was challenging because you told it to me, and I'm like, yeah, I can think of lots of things where I'm like, oh, if you play this game, you got to make sure you do this, and I'm like, all those things are expansions, all of them.
Yeah.
So, and then when I did come up with things that I think qualified as DLCs, I kind of noticed that the non-expansion DLC was really popular like 10 years ago. At least among the games that I play. And there's a lot of things where I'm like, hey, this was awesome, but like I don't really remember anything about it because I played it a very long time ago. I remember in DMC Devil May Cry, Virgil's downfall was awesome, but I could not tell you a single thing about it except you play as Virgil.
Right. Okay.
But what I did sort of remember, and then I even popped it open and played it a little bit, was the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3.
Oh.
I also have a Mass Effect 3 one, but it's not Citadel.
Okay, that's good. So we didn't step on toes.
That's fascinating. I feel like Citadel is like naturally the best. So, but it's been a very long time since I played Mass Effect 3. I think it was 2015. So I had to pop it open and like play through it a bit, and I was like, wait, how do I hide behind the chest high walls? I don't remember. It's been too long. But the Citadel DLC was basically meant. I get the impression it was meant to be a better conclusion to Mass Effect 3. Like they did, they did rework the ending, and the ending of Mass Effect 3 could be its own podcast episode. So, but more just to be like, okay, here's all your friends from all the games. You're going on an adventure together. And remember all the good times. There's a part where you get in an elevator and they're like, man, these elevators take a really long time, but it's nice that we can say important things while we're in the elevators.
Yeah.
And they just like make fun of the tropes. And also I realized like replaying it is just, I think Mass Effect is already like a power fantasy. It's like,
Sure.
You're the best human. You're the only human Spectre. You're going to save the whole world. Everyone wants to be your friend. And you're so good at anything. You can solve issues through diplomacy or violence. You're good at both.
Right.
You just have to choose whichever suits you in
Now,
a given situation.
Is this excluding if you're a renegade? Or
You
no?
can do both. I have been learning this in my rerun of the
Okay.
games, is that I have been
You have said
verbally
this,
a renegade, and mostly in like my choices I've been Paragon, but I've made some bad choices too.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah, I
redone Mass
remember
Effect
picking-
3 though.
yeah.
I remember being like almost always Paragon, but there's like this one mission where Shepard just gets straight up betrayed by some faction, and I think I went Renegade 100% on that faction because I was so mad at them for what they did to Shepard. But anyway, okay, so Mass Effect is already I would call a big power fantasy, and it's awesome. It's not a criticism, but it's what it is. But then Citadel takes it to the next level, because the first thing that happens in Citadel is you just inherit a free, 5,000 square foot apartment on the most important city in the universe.
Interesting. Okay. So it's just like someone giving
There's
you
like
a New York apartment for free.
Yeah, like a whole condo for free. And like there's a waterfall, like the bathtub is like a 12-person jacuzzi. It's like multi-leveled.
It's like taking a bath in a
There's
pool.
like yeah, basically.
Okay.
There's like multiple bedrooms and like a gym and like just all this stuff. So that's power fantasy number one, is having like, literally the apartment Shepard gets is probably 3 times bigger than my house.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Jeez.
and it's in the most, it's in the capital of the universe. It's in the Citadel.
Yeah.
And immediately after you get that, it's like you wander around, you explore it, and you get an email from Joker. And he's like, hey, you want to go get sushi at the most expensive restaurant at the Citadel? And you're like, okay. And you go there and you like skip the line. Like there's a scene where Shepard cuts everyone in line. And they're like, you're not allowed in. You're allowed in. Come on in, Commander Shepard. We have a table all ready to go for you. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. This is what I want my life to be like. This right here.
Right.
They bring Rex back because since you could possibly kill Rex, I don't think anybody does it, but technically you can kill him in Mass Effect 1. So he's not in the other Mass Effect games. Sasha, you're shaking your head. Am I wrong? Or
No, you can do it. I physically cannot make myself do that. So
Right, yeah.
I'm never gonna experience a world without Rex.
Me either, but technically because you can do it, they didn't really include him in 2 or 3, even though he's such an awesome character.
You get a lot of dialogue with him right before, the choice in Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, they bring him. I mean, but he's
better.
not like a party member,
No.
except
feel
in
like
the Citadel DLC where he is.
Citadel does what BioWare games do best at the end, which is just kind of like wrap up all the narratives with your companions. That's what happens at the end of all the Dragon Age games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so Rex is back and he's awesome, and you can put him in your party, and you're in this part where you're just stuck in this like stealth level with a pistol, and then just Rex just like jumps in and hands you a machine gun.
That's a huge upgrade.
And you're like, all right, now we're ready to actually play some Mass Effect. And then you have to go to this fancy cocktail party, and like, I got Garrus Vakarian to wear a tuxedo, and I'm like, this is just the best DLC ever. The whole thing's like 4 hours, so I wouldn't call it an expansion pack. So I feel like it's kind of perfect for this
for this
qualifier.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
I had other stuff I had to do today though, so that's like literally exactly as far as I got through playing Citadel today. And the last time I played it was 2015, so memory's a little shaky, but
I will say all of mine are. The closest one to me playing was 2 years ago. The furthest one was probably 2012 or 13. For me playing. So
that's when like Bethesda was doing all their DLCs like before like the Skyrim ones, but like Fallout had all theirs, and Fallout 3 in New Vegas. And I don't know, I felt like everything had like a $10 like here's a little bit more of the story.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I do remember just being like super excited every time there would be another New Vegas DLC or Mass Effect, or like, yes, all right, I'm cutting class. I'm playing this shit today.
Yes, that's right.
I have this. I don't do. Chauncey does this a lot more than I do, but I do it to some degree where I will finish a game and I'm like, done. Like, I don't care what else comes out. Like, I'm not engaging with it again. He's very overt about that stance on things, but me, I'm like, I'll come back, but I end up never doing so. That kind of thing. So I'll have these situations where I'll buy like a season pass with all the DLC and never touch any of it. Because it's just like, I love this game and I want to play more of it. And then I just get like wrapped up in other things when those come out. And I'm like, oh, well.
I feel like now I'm a Game of the Year version player.
Yeah. That was the other thing that made this really hard was I was thinking about like Dark Souls. Mm-hmm. Which I know has a lot of great DLC. I don't know what the DLC is and what the main game is because I always just play the like complete versions.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes me wonder because a lot of people are speculating about Elden Ring and if it's going to get DLC, and I'm like, am I going to play that? I don't know.
You should. It's amazing.
I mean, I know I finished Elden Ring. I don't know if I'm going to play that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Because I started a second save because I'm in this weird spot right now for gaming where I'm in what I call the pre-Monster Hunter blues, where nothing is interesting to me video game wise until the next Monster Hunter comes out. So I'll play like 20 minutes of something and be like, I just wish this was Monster Hunter, but I don't want to play more Monster Hunter until it comes out. So I guess I'll just do something else.
I'm in this weird video game blues where I got something called de Cuvier's syndrome, which is basically the sheath tendons in my wrist are like chronically inflamed. Mm-hmm. And it hurts to play video games, like a lot.
I remember when you first got that, you had like the wrist brace and everything. I bet that's rough.
It is. I started physical therapy for it about a month ago, and that's been helping immensely.
Oh,
So hopefully in another month or two, I'll be like 100% back to normal. That's what my guy says is likely, but we just kind of gotta wait and see.
sure. Yeah, that would hurt me a lot. That is my main source of entertainment, except for the past couple weeks. But yeah, okay.
Well, my sources of entertainment are video games, these things, this thing, my drums, like everything I do, I use my wrist.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Oh man, well, I mean, I do write and other things too, but that also involves my wrist. So I could understand that would be very rough. Um, okay. Solid first DLC. The Citadel for Mass Effect 3. Um, so Sasha, what are you gonna follow that up with?
I'll follow it up with my Mass Effect 3 one, which
Fair
was
enough.
Leviathan.
Leviathan.
I really liked the Leviathan DLC.
Can you remind me what? Go ahead.
Yes. So Leviathan is the one where they find out that there's a survivor race from the original Reaper cycle, and it's on like that like planet that's covered in water. And it's a short DLC, I will say that, but visually, I think it's the most remarkable of all the DLCs. This is the one that stands out to me the most, and I also haven't played Mass Effect 3 since probably about 2015-ish. Mm-hmm. Actually, it might even be before that, because I feel like I blitzed that game, had a bunch of problems with my 5,000 kill achievement resetting over and over and over again, and when I completed that game, yeah. I didn't touch it again.
Yeah,
I'm done with this game. So I think it might have even been longer than that, probably like within the first year that it came out. But this is the one that stands out to me the most. There's this image in my head of Shepard being like this tiny little thing, but in this massive like mecha suit that he took to go down to the bottom of the ocean. It's like a deep borer suit.
Mm-hmm.
And then this massive like Leviathan in front of him. And then it like psychically talks to him and explains all of the original Reaper cycle. It's so cool. And as a big like sci-fi nerd, I just geeked out the whole time. Just like, oh, I don't even care that we're not fighting anything. This is so awesome.
Okay. I can see the appeal there. So you guys are making me want to play Mass Effect when I tried so many times with number 2. I tried so many times. And I was just...
Wait, number 2 is what... Wait, so you're telling me you beat number 1, but number 2 put you off?
I never played 1. That's the problem is...
okay.
So I had
but Mass Effect 2 is like the crowning gem.
It is, yeah.
I've never
heard this opinion expressed.
I never got past the first like 20 or 15 minutes. And... I would just like, I do this thing where I like to talk to everyone in RPGs, right? And, which again, that makes sense in something like Mass Effect, but like, they're like, oh, Commander Shepard, you're the best. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. Like, why am I the best? Like, what's going on? Like,
see, this is because you didn't play Mass Effect 1.
Right.
And then I think that now, the punches in Mass Effect 2 don't hit if you're not invested. Like, when you find out who Archangel is, you're like, oh my god, it's Garrus!
Yeah.
If you didn't play Mass Effect 1,
okay, well,
you're like, oh, who's this guy?
The problem was, when I played it was on Wii U, right? And Wii U didn't get Mass Effect 1. There wasn't any way to play it. So, like...
But wait, I did not know Wii U got Mass Effect 2. That is actually kind of awesome.
It either got 2 or maybe I'm mistaken and I got 3. I know I played 2 and I just didn't have access to 1 at the time. So then I sort of like put it down and I was like, nope, off, I'm out. And me and space have never mixed very well. So I'm just like, I'm just going to call this one a loss.
But Mass Effect has everything that you want out of like Dragon Age, basically.
Yeah, and I only played Dragon Age 2 as well. Like, Dragon Age 2 was the only one I played for... yeah, I know. Now, I tried to play 1. I did try to play 1 recently, Origins. But I have a problem with it keep crashing on good old games. So like it won't
Okay,
get past.
that's fair. If it's yeah,
it won't.
If it crashes, it crashes. You can't help that. But
so and then I tried to play Inquisition, and I was just like, this feels janky as hell. Like I cannot. But I played it on my PS5, which was a PS4
Inquisition's pretty excellent. What's janky about it?
There was something throwing me off about how the people moved in the game, and it was just like,
oh, I know what it is. It's because it's this weird, like, it is turn-based in that whatever you press, it has to follow through with those commands, but then everything's still real time.
Yeah, that might be what it was, because I was just like, this feels bad. Like I don't know what it is, but it felt like some serious jank. I was just like, I'm not enjoying this, so I moved on. Like after the first couple fights.
I've been intending to play Inquisition since it came out, and I just haven't. I haven't bought it. I was like waiting for it to go on sale, and now I could probably get it for about $5, and I just still haven't pulled the trigger on it yet.
Yeah, or if you have like a Game Pass or EA or whatever, EA Play, that it's on there, the full Game of the Year version, which you definitely have to play to get the whole story. It's very Mass Effect 3 DLC. Gotcha. A lot of important stuff is in the DLC.
I may just do this thing where I just because I got it on PlayStation, right? So I may just do this thing where I just try to get it on PC instead and just see if that feels better.
I'm going to interject really quickly. It's one of my contenders that I didn't go through with because I didn't have enough to say, but was Dragon Age Origins, the Return to Ostgard DLC for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically, and really all that there is so that's where you go back to where the king was killed and you have to go find his armor.
Interesting.
And it's possible, I don't know, I guess I'm going to spoil Origins for you.
It's okay.
A 13-year-old game.
I played 2 all the way through, so I knew what happened in Origins.
Okay, so the guy who basically kills the king, you can put him into your party, and if you take him there, you can he has some dialogue where he's like, "Oh, you're just rubbing this in my face, huh? Did you really have to bring me? You have 7 other people to choose from, but you're bringing me here, huh? All right." And you can have him wear the king's armor, and it's just that's literally all I have to say about that DLC, but it cracked me up.
That's rubbing his nose directly in it. Here, wear this armor. I wonder where it came from. Oh, come on. What's with that? Suddenly I get all sorts of notifications right over the stream.
Hey, get out of here.
So,
say, shoot.
So Mass Effect Leviathan, did you have more to say on that one, Sasha?
Not really. It's not a very long DLC, but it's the one that stood out to me the most from Mass Effect 3, actually from most of the Mass Effect series. I almost picked Lara the Shadow Broker, though, from Mass Effect 2. It was really close.
That's another one where I remember it being awesome, but I really couldn't tell you a single thing that happens in it, but I remember loving it.
I recently replayed Lara the Shadow Broker, and it is pretty great, especially for the same reasons that you like Citadel. You don't get Liara any other time in the game. This is your chance to kind of touch base with her. I've actually never played Lara the Shadow Broker as a shepherd who romanced Liara in the first game, so I don't know what happens with that.
No, this is bringing back memories because I did romance Liara in 1, and then I do remember them meet and there's that moment where it's oh my god, it's Liara, and they kiss right away.
And the current person you're romancing is what the fuck?
You don't have to cheat on your person, but
I did.
You just put their picture frame down on your desk and you don't worry about that.
100%. She's better. Bye.
No, my current run through of the remastered series, I was gonna romance Caden, but I let him die.
Oh, okay.
And then so I romanced nobody in Mass Effect 1, and then Garrus, because there's no shepherd without Vicarion.
100%. No, Yeah, Garrus is the correct choice. I don't care if it's male shep or fem shep. Garrus is the correct choice. That's why I was just telling you in Citadel. They're like, "Who's your +1?" Garrus. I don't. I can't. The game won't let me romance him, but I'll bring him wherever you'll let me. Like,
bromance him. There you go. That's the option is bromance. Okay. I don't know. I might try it. I might try to go through the Mass Effect and try to give Dragon Age another go.
okay, you are committing right there. You just committed to like 500 hours. You gotta.
I know. I have a lot of hours of gameplay before Monster Hunter comes out.
I think you gotta pick one or the other. Do you want to do medieval times or do you want to go to space?
Hardly ever want to go to space, but I will try.
Ford, because the thing you don't like about Dragon Age Inquisition is just so pervasive that, like, I think you'll probably be better off just shooting stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think you'd like Mass Effect better.
I liked Dragon Age 2 when I played it, whenever that came out, but
it is the smoothest of the combat of the three, I will say.
And a lot of people didn't like it.
I think I played maybe 10 or 15 hours of 2, and then like finals happened, and then I just never got back to it.
I can get that. Yeah.
I think you gotta really love Dragon Age to appreciate 2.
I loved 1. I played 1 like twice, and I played Awakening twice. But 2 just didn't hook me. I didn't hate it like a lot of people did when it came out, but it just didn't hook me.
I'm like a 7 out of 10 on Dragon Age 2, but it's because I do love Dragon Age.
Fair. It's fair. Okay. So I'm not going to be talking about... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Origins is like my gold standard for what a CRPG, like a modern CRPG should be.
Okay.
Loved Origins.
I mean, what I got to play of it recently before I kept crashing, I was actually really enjoying it. I really was. But it just like hard crashed, like died so many times, and then like I couldn't do anything to fix it. So hopefully they can rectify that and I can play it again. We'll see. But not right now, because I might look into Mass Effect. I've been looking into replaying some of the Doom stuff because I've just been like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I tried so many games and it's just sort of like, not really. Although I've been lightly playing and I haven't noped out of it yet, Weird West, Sasha. I talked a little bit about that. I've been easing into that one because that one is not what I expected. And I was like, okay, I can get behind this. But it is very much like...
What's Weird West about? I haven't heard anything about it. I've heard it came out at some point.
But
I don't know anything about it.
As far as I know so far, you are this ex-bounty hunter who sort of like, they say hung up the irons is what they said. Basically, put away your gun and your badge and whatnot. Not badge because you're a bounty hunter, but put away your stuff to live a normal life with your husband and your son. And you wake up and your husband's been kidnapped and your son's been murdered.
Fuck.
And you have to go track him down, and it's like a very... actually, I don't like the little I played of Mass Effect. It is sort of the battle system is like a more strategic viewpoint of that, where you're sort of doing this more. It's very pulled back because like Mass Effect is over the shoulder. This is more like top down point of view. You switch out guns and you have abilities and stuff, and
it sounds like the alternate combat version in Inquisition. There's 2 ways to play Inquisition.
Okay. You do have a party you do manage, but they do all of their own things. You don't manage them at all. You have stealth sections, and they can't be seen. Only you can. So you can have a situation where like you're hiding around the corner and the idiot that's with you is just hiding in the middle of the street, and like they'll actually do collision with him, and like they're actually like walking around with him, like I don't know where he is, like kind of thing. It's really funny to me.
Yeah.
Um,
I've seen that in a bunch of games.
yeah. So it's called Weird West because it's also got like fantastical elements to it. Like I've killed like 5 or 6 sirens that like the big thing right now is that like a group of like some weird siren has been like kidnapping people to go to this feeding farm, and that's why your husband was kidnapped, to go to this feeding farm, and you're trying to like
Okay.
stop his transport to whatever this place is before they get there, so he doesn't get eaten by whatever the siren wants to eat. So it's a bit weird, hence the name Weird West, but I believe there's multiple playable characters like in different stories, or you turn into a werewolf or something. I don't know, because you can see the silhouette of your character that looks like a werewolf, and I'm like,
I think I remember that I think there's 3 playable storylines that interweave.
Yeah, and I think one of them is a werewolf, and I think another one of them is some other crazy creature that you play as. Like, but other than that, like I'm playing a normal human who has a revolver, and I'm trying to scavenge bullets off of people as I'm shooting them. So it's not unlike something like Outer Worlds or something that I'm playing right now, which is less of a dialogue system, less RPG stuff. It's just more action oriented. There's not a lot of stats. Like you don't have to worry about stats.
In the Outer Worlds?
In this versus Outer Worlds.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Outer Worlds,
That's not my experience with the Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, you had stats and stuff. I didn't finish it, but I did play it enough to be like, this is like Fallout, where like this is you're not managing RPG stuff. You're
right.
This is like all about inventory / ability management, which as far as I remember is more akin to Mass Effect, because like I don't know if you have stats in Mass Effect.
You have like skills.
Kind of. You have your shield and your health, but yeah, you have your basically cooldowns on your skills.
Yeah, but you're not managing strength, dex, intelligence, that kind of stuff.
No.
There's
more like your gun skills and your tech or biotics.
Gotcha.
And I feel like that there's some like dialogue skills as well, like depending on which game you're playing.
Okay. This one, there's no skills to worry about other than like battle skills that you learn, and that's it. And you sort of choose which guns get which. Like I took a sniper skill for the rifles, is one of the early ones I took. It's like your first shot is undetected and does extra damage. I'm like, okay, cool. So so
it's always good to get a shot off and be undetected, man.
Yeah, especially in a large group of people sometimes. Like, I was trying to get this bounty, was surrounded by like 6 people, so I just picked like one guy off. I was like, that makes it a little easier. And then I just went in guns a-blazing, and it worked out, but, so my first DLC that I'm going to talk about is probably the least, like, involved. You guys had some, like, you said Leviathan was kind of short. But this is one of my favorites because it had so much promise, and it was the only time it worked out well for the amiibos. So, because if you remember, amiibos were originally meant to be
what?
Yeah, the amiibos for Nintendo were supposed to be DLC, and they ended up not really being anything other than cosmetics at this point, if anything at all.
But you don't download a statue.
But it had DLC in it. You could buy the DLC or buy the amiibo.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad they don't have DLC because they're so hard to get sometimes.
Right. I liked them for that reason, but then again, like, they became super rare, and it was just like, oh, I'm kind of glad they didn't do this. But the one time it worked out really well for me is in Hyrule Warriors. If you had a Link amiibo, and you didn't have to have a specific one, it was any of them. You got the Twilight Princess top weapon. So you got to play as like the sort of like the top that it was a really weird thing in Twilight Princess. It's like you had to like jump up these like rails and stuff in this one dungeon, and they made that a weapon in Hyrule Warriors, where Link is just like riding on a top and just destroying all sorts of people because it's a Muso game, right? So like that's what you just do in those games.
Yeah.
Destroy thousands of units. So like this rideable top, you got to like combo and stuff, and you got it if you just had a Link amiibo. Now I used to have a Link amiibo. I then had kids, and those kids tore apart, and I may be able to find the base at some point, but probably not Link.
Oh no. I don't know if Chelsea ever mentioned this. She has a friend who like coded a bunch of like amiibo into just like RFID chips.
Oh, nice.
So Chelsea has just like a plastic bag full of RFID chips that are like, at the time it was every Zelda series amiibo that existed. And her friend did it for her for like just the cost of the chips, basically, because it took, and like postage, because it took him like no effort.
Right. No, she's never mentioned that. So yeah, one of those would work. Well, actually, any of them if they were Link, to get you the top in Hyrule Warriors, and that was a fun weapon.
Yeah.
It's just part of the like you get the like the new Hyrule Warriors on the Switch. Not Age of Calamity, but they did a definitive edition on the Switch that had everything, and it's just that weapon's just in there. You don't unlock it or anything. You just get it now. But back in the day, it was a DLC, and I really enjoyed that weapon, and I thought it was cool that it came off of a Link amiibo, which was one of the first amiibos I got. But I do agree with you. Now, if that was a thing with amiibos, them being so scarce, that'd be a problem. That'd be a real problem.
I feel like they're easier to get now. Like when amiibos first came out, they were just like impossible.
There was a good solid chunk of time. I didn't have any problems getting my Link one. Like when they were first coming out, but a couple months into it, yes. A couple months into it, people were like,
yeah. If you're watching like day of and you went to Best Buy or whatever, you could get them. I remember when Dread came out, and it was like 2 weeks after Dread came out, and I actually got an ad that was like, "Do you want the Metroid Dread amiibos?" It just like popped up on Facebook, and I was like, "Yeah, I do."
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought them, and then I got them.
Yeah, the
and
Dread
like, wow,
amiibos didn't have any
that
problems.
These would still exist at this point.
Yeah, no, I've seen Dread. Like I've had my buddy at the game store be like, "Hey, I've got Dread amiibos. You want them?" And I bought like the special edition of Dread. I've actually got it sitting up on a shelf back there. I was like, "No, I'm good. I don't need it because I don't really care about the amiibos anymore because they don't do anything for me."
You get an extra energy tank. You get an extra energy tank and an extra missile tank, I think, is what the amiibos do in Dread.
All right. So an extra health bar is good, but, you know, I beat it already by the time he already told me that, so didn't really need it, I guess. I
remember appreciating the extra health, like, right at the beginning of the game.
Sure, yeah. The game isn't terribly easy, I will say that, but it's not terrifically hard either, I don't think.
Yeah. Extra health doesn't help against the Emmys, though, which was, like, the main problem.
Right, and then if you go in Dread mode, no extra health helps, because one-hit kill. So, yeah. Just the Link amiibo top. I don't know what they called it. There's some fancy name for it, but that's my weakest one, I will say. I led with the smallest one. So Steve, what's your second DLC we talk about tonight?
So I guess this isn't a specific DLC. I guess I can talk about a few specifics, but more broadly, I was just going to say Rock Band DLC was just great.
Oh yeah, just all the song packs.
Or just being like able to be like, man, I really like this one random Iron Maiden song. Like, I'm just gonna get exactly that one song, or being able to like, they had like multiple AC/DC albums. I think no, wait, no, they had an AC/DC live album, but what it just like there's a lot of bands where they just had multiple albums by them, and you could be like, yeah, this like one obscure song, like "Vital Signs" by Rush, which is a song nobody knows, but it's on a great album, so it's there.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
I don't know that
Signs.
one. I know Rush. I don't know Vital Signs. Right. So.
They put like all of 2112. You can play like the entirety of 2112, which is a 20-minute song. But I was gonna say probably the coolest thing that they did just for like individual DLC was like, I want to say for 10 or 15 bucks on Rock Band 2, you could get nearly the entire Rock Band 1 library as DLC.
Wow, that's something. Considering it's all licensed music, that is something.
Yeah, I think like Metallica at that point had like an exclusivity agreement with Guitar Hero. So like Enter Sandman and I think one other song didn't transfer, but it was basically like, oh, you remember Rock Band 1? You like all those songs, and now you can play all of them in Rock Band 2 for like 15 bucks.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I actually...
Your whole Rock Band library transferred to Rock Band Blitz, which was really cool.
Also that, yeah, Rock Band Blitz was awesome.
Yes.
And the Rock Band Blitz songs could be played in Rock Band.
What was Blitz? I never heard of Blitz.
It was just on your controller. You were the whole Rock Band, and you used like your triggers to switch instruments or to vocals. And so there was like planning to maximize your score based on like which instrument or vocals was going to rack in the most points.
Yeah. So like whatever.
A more arcade version then.
Absolutely. Is super strategic.
Okay.
Like is very but also like, so you wanted to be whichever one racked up the most points, but I feel like each of them also had their own separate multipliers, and you wanted to max out all the multipliers as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. If you would max out your multiplier on each one of your instruments, and then when you switched over, you had to be careful. If you switched over as a note was playing, you had to like play the note as you were switching over tracks, or you would reset your multiplier on that instrument. And then I also learned certain songs' vocals were what got all the points, even though it didn't seem that way because there weren't a ton of notes.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was some kind of scaling going on to kind of make it that all the instruments were balanced. Now, Rock Band Blitz was amazing because it came out at a time when like a lot of people were kind of over Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Yeah.
So it was really great to be like, well, I still love this game, but nobody wants to play it with me anymore. But now there's a single player version.
Okay. Fair enough. I was over it pretty much a month into it. Like all of my friends were still doing Rock Band and Guitar Hero. Like I'll remember my good friend Brian invited me over to play and just invited me over just to hang out one time. I was like, oh yeah. I also bought the Killers soundtrack so you can play along with it. I was like, okay. I mean, I wasn't gonna play, but I guess I got the Killers there. I'll play something.
Yeah, that's what makes it great.
Yeah,
that's why the Rock Band DLC, or it's like, I mean, and I haven't been into Rock Band that much in the past 5 years or so, whatever, maybe 10 years, but I remember going to my buddy's house like a couple months ago, and he got Rock Band 4 and being like, oh, like, yeah, let's just go ahead and get the Ghostbusters theme, like, because that'd be fun to play, and like just having
yeah.
Oh, whoops, bumped my camera. But just having like 2,000 songs to just pick and choose from, and I ended up spending $60 on DLC for his Rock Band account. Which not that we played all those songs, but. So, well, we gotta have that.
Gotta have this song, gotta have this. Yeah, I get you. Okay. Yeah, I got so tired of them so quick because that's all they wanted to do. And I was much more of like, let's play Halo or Smash kind of thing. Like, I was much more of an action game person, and they're like, yeah. Like at the time, I remember I had a buddy, Eric, who all he wanted to do was play Rock Band ever anymore, and drink. And I was just like, all right, dude, I don't drink, so I guess it's just sit here play drums while you just mess up the guitar all night. Like I got over it pretty quick in that situation. Like I was just like done. But I get it.
I was so into Rock Band and Guitar Hero. I mean, that's like, and that opened those games are the reasons why there's guitars behind me.
Sure.
Like,
it
I thought
unlocked
it was
the
just so
musician
cool
in
and
you. Yeah.
yeah, I thought it was so cool and so much fun, and I just like wanted to keep going. And like in my dedicated music room that I'm recording this in, like there's a Guitar Hero and Rock Band stuff.
Yeah.
Just like because it's part of it. And now my camera's all messed up. Darn it.
Yeah, I avoid moving my camera when I can because it took so
Uh-oh.
much to.
It'll just take me a minute to fix. I'll be right
fine.
back. I still hear you though.
Okay. Okay, so Rock Band. All right. Sasha, what's your second one?
My second one was from the Outer Worlds. I picked Murder on Eridanos.
Okay.
Which is the Murder Mystery DLC from the Outer Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
It is also the one that it's the second of the DLCs which increase your level cap and increase the scaling or change the scaling, I guess, on all of the skill checks in the game. Because everything goes from 100 to 150 and makes it a lot harder to have a jack of all trades character at the end game. You really have to specialize in what you want, but I found that Murder on Eridanos was a lot of fun because I was a speech person in the game. I had heavy stuff in speech and in sneak and lock picking, so it was perfect for this DLC. But basically, you are investigating the death of a corporate actress salesperson for one of the corporations who does like the Rizzo's pop in the game, I think. Mm-hmm. And of course, they set it up to make it look like somebody that she's involved with romantically may have done it. And you can definitely mess the DLC up. You can accuse the wrong person.
Okay.
And have like
That's
a
awesome.
bad ending.
Love
that. Yep. Or you can really, really investigate it. And if you don't have a good enough speech invested in one of the 3 speech options, you will not solve it. You will accuse the wrong person.
Just from messing up what you're trying to say.
Yeah, you'll mess up the investigation.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. There might be another way. I was going to say there might be another way.
That would make me super mad while I was playing it, but like the game theorist in me loves that.
Mm-hmm.
There very well could be other options like lock picking or something that will get you to a different, like, get you the same evidence. I don't know. I've only played it one time, and the way that I did it, I definitely could have messed it up from not having a high enough speech.
That sounds awesome. I like 100%ed the first planet that like the starting planet, whatever, with the like the miners or whatever. Mm-hmm. I did everything I could there, and then as soon as I got to the hub place, I just stopped playing Outer Worlds.
The thing that I really liked about this DLC is it felt very different than the rest of the game as well. So, like,
gotcha.
Every planet that you go to, it's kind of like a Borderlands map, you know? It's the same thing as the previous one, just with a different fresh coat of paint and a different quest running you through it. Yeah. But this DLC, I think that they really just let the writers do their own thing. And this is the closest thing that I think that they came to of New Vegas in space, like what they were trying to sell Outer Worlds as. They hit it with this DLC.
Do you have to be high level to like survive it?
Yes and no. You definitely want to be at least level 20, or like near the end.
Okay.
Because you're going to have a certain amount of points spent into skills to investigate it properly or to lockpick or do whatever you're trying to do. So you'd have to be at least, I'd say, like level 17 or so. It's not heavy in the combat in this one like the other DLC is. Gorgon. Peril on Gorgon, I think is what it's called. Mm-hmm. That one, I would say, do that after because it is more combat heavy, and I had a little bit more difficulty in that part of the game than any other part of the game combat-wise.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, if I get back into Outer Worlds, I will 100% check that out.
Mm-hmm.
But
I own those DLCs. I just didn't get that far in it.
The murder mystery is really fun.
I got Outer Worlds the day it came out, so I don't have any of the DLC.
I Game Pass subscribed to get the Outer Worlds because I was like, I don't know if I want to pay for this game, so I could do $15 this month, and if I hate it, then whatever. But I ended up really liking the Outer Worlds.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people I know really like it. It's one of those things where it feels like Fallout to me, and I was just like, I liked it for so long, and then I was just like, all right, I'm kind of done. Like, I can't, I don't know what it is about those games that it's just like, I think a lot of times it's crafting, stuff like that just really gets in my, like, the kind of thing. It's like, what's the best equipment? I don't know. Okay. I guess I just won't do any crafting because I feel like I'm just going to find better equipment. But then, like, I want to do craft. It's very weird, complex I go through with these games. And then it's just like, I get frustrated and I'm just like, I'm out. I'm done. I don't want to.
I think my video game hot take is like, I feel like crafting could be taken out of almost every game and just replace it with like modding weapons. Like,
yeah, something
just being like
that.
What kind of sight do you want to have? What kind of barrel do you want to have? And and there will be like, different effects. You want a silencer or not that affects damage versus stealth, whatever. Like you can still have personalization, and crafting and actually is almost never about personalization. It's just about going through a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either too much or too little in the crafting every time. Like, there's never been a happy medium.
I remember in Cyberpunk, I discovered eventually if your crafting skill was high enough, you could create a thing that disassembled to more parts than it took to make it. So you could like create an infinite loop generating mats.
Interesting. Was this intended?
So that was fun because I don't think this was intended. I don't think it was like a glitch either, though. I think it was just like just a very specific thing.
Yeah.
And there were skills that you could get where you would get more stuff when you
disassembled.
When you disenchant or break it down or whatever they called it. Yeah, disassembled it. And yeah, and I think it was like, use this thing to make this other thing, you break that, and it gets you more than the first thing took. It was like it was like a triangle trading thing, whatever. But yeah, but then like you could sell the parts and just have infinite money. And I'm like, this isn't good.
You broke the game.
I'll abuse this.
You broke the game, Steve. You found the exploit.
I did. Well, I'll say, but then it came back on me because then my crafting got like maxed out, and that's not a combat skill, but all the enemies scaled up to my overall level.
Oh,
so that was kind of bad.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Huh. Kind of like a Morrowind situation in that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. So the Hunt to Killer DLC and Outer Worlds, what was that called? The DLC?
Murder on Eridanos.
Okay. Murder on Eridanos. Like I said, I have that DLC. We'll see if I go back to the game. I haven't uninstalled it. It's just sitting there. Not using it.
I think I've also not uninstalled Outer Worlds.
Yeah, I was good. Like I don't have any complaints. It's just like the crafting thing just really got in my brain. I was just like, I can't. It causes. It's like I have this infinite loop of issue, and then I just have to like.
I feel like I played that whole game without even touching crafting. I don't
I
even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's just the way to do most games.
I think that's the way to do it games
Ignore the
anymore.
crafting until a quest requires it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That might be the way to go, because like I feel like that's what hangs me up in a lot of those kind of games, because you get all these parts and stuff and I'm like, what do I do with them? And actually
Just sell them.
well, that's what I like about
Definitely.
Weird West is Weird West is like, this is worth X amount of dollars, just go sell it.
Junk.
Yeah, it says junk right there. It says junk, and I'm like, I will sell it.
Crafting totally changed the way I played Fallout 4, and I played Fallout 4 differently than I played all the other Fallout games, and it was because of crafting. I'm like, oh, I need to pick this fan up because it's got screws and aluminum in it, and I need that right now.
Right. I hate being like the junk hoarder that crafting makes me, and it bothers me. I'm just like, I don't want to do this, but like I feel like I have to. So yeah, I think it might be just my Monster Hunter Blues are just going to get in the way. I don't know. There's so many things I could just play and I just don't. It also helped that I finished a bunch of games recently too, and I'm just like, yeah, I beat it, and then I'm like, now what? Anyways,
Might be a good time to start the Mass Effect trilogy.
Maybe.
I've not looked into if the remaster is any good or not, but maybe it is.
That's what Sasha's been playing, right?
It is. I only stopped to play Tiny Tina's, or else I would be probably done with Mass Effect 3 now.
Mm-hmm.
But I did do 1 and 2.
If I can get through,
get that Legendary Edition.
If I can get through 1 and 2 without it crashing, that might be a better chance than Dragon Age. I will say that.
Legendary shouldn't crash because, even I've been playing the Legendary Edition not on a Series X, and it hasn't crashed. And it's supposed to be optimized for Series X, but playable on the regular Xbox One.
Okay. Well,
it's been fine.
I'll look into it, see if it's not too expensive for me, having just bought Lego Star Wars and not liking it too much.
I also just got Lego Star Wars, by the way. Or I got it the day it came out. And I probably hurt my wrist more playing it.
It's not bad. It's just like it's one of those things where I'm playing it and I'm just like, I'm not into this right now. It's just not going to happen. Yeah.
I got to take Mando to the Gunga City and shoot it up, and it was wonderful.
That was fun. Just like throwing chairs around at the Gungans. That was kind of fun. So my second one tonight is the Specter Knight DLC from Shovel Knight. And most people should know what Shovel Knight is. The retro 2D. You're just a knight has a shovel and you're out there to save your love. And Specter Knight did this really cool thing. They didn't do it as well with Plague Knight, but Specter Knight was the second DLC where it took all of Shovel Knight and just made it a totally different game. 100%. It was like, hey, Shovel Knight was kind of like
that's always really cool.
Like a Zelda Mario mix of like Zelda 2 Mario, where you get to like bounce off of enemies and you're sort of platforming and fighting things. And like, yeah, this is fun. And Specter Knight was like, do you want to play Shovel Knight but play like it's Ninja Gaiden? Specter Knight is for you. Like air dashes, like jumping between things, like with like super hits and stuff. It had this really like quick momentum based sort of movement and combat versus Shovel Knight, which was more kind of like deliberate. I feel like more Mario style, whereas like this, it just felt like Ninja Gaiden. Like you're just like slashing between enemies and jumping off of them, or not even off of them, through them. Like you're just like, it's a lot more fast paced, and there was a lot of like jumping puzzles and stuff that involved sort of like slashing up through something. Specter Knight was like really fun for me. I really enjoyed Shovel Knight quite a bit, and it's one of the few games where I beat it, and I beat it before any of the DLCs happened. And then I like on a whim came back to Plague Knight, and I was like, oh, I like Plague Knight, but Plague Knight didn't change much. You just played through the Shovel Knight levels as Plague Knight. Like they didn't change much of it. But Specter Knight was like total rework. Everything's different. And it was actually really cool because it's a prequel to Shovel Knight where like you have like the big bosses in Shovel Knight you have to fight, and like Specter Knight was like recruiting people for the Shovel Knight campaign, like to the bosses. He's like forced to recruit the bad guys. So he had like beat them in combat and say like, hey, once I've beaten you, you work for me now. We're going to do this kind of thing. Or you work
that
for
is super fun.
You work for who I work for. The levels like are entirely changed. There's total different things. It was a really cool, and I didn't expect it. I actually got it part of the Treasure Trove edition of Shovel Knight, which has Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and King Knight, as well as a Super Smash Bros. Mode in it that involves all the characters. I haven't played King Knight's quest yet, but I want to at some point. Just gotta find it in my DLC for my Switch. But yeah, the Spectre Knight was a really, really cool, like total conversion of a game and it's not too long. The Shovel Knight game isn't exactly too long, so you get like a good 6-7 hours out of the game, but this just adds like another 6-7 hours ish. It's like a whole.
I feel like you're getting dangerously close to expansion pack territory.
Kind of, yeah, you are, but it's DLC. They didn't call it an expansion. I think they even call it the Spectre Knight DLC and the Plague Knight DLC and King Knight DLC. They're actually part of stretch goals, I think, because this was kickstarted. I think. So
pretty sure it was. I feel like I remember that.
Yeah, and it was also one of the, like, I had a Wii U, and it was actually kind of nice to get like a really solid game on the Wii U before anyone else, because like it launched on Vita and Wii U, and as much as people didn't have Wii U, nobody had Vitas.
That's true. That is super true.
So it was refreshing to have like a really good, like, I just really liked Shovel Knight, but then like Spectre Knight was like, oh, I really like this. I played through it again. It actually what caused me to get it on Switch is that DLC. So there we go. Spectre Knight. So do we want to do one more, or do we want to do our dishonorable mention before we get into our positive, or do we want to end on the dishonorable?
I cannot remember my third positive, and I'm like scrolling through my Steam list right now trying to remember it, so I'm all down to do the dishonorable one.
Sure. So let's lead with your dishonorable mention, Steve.
All right, so I was thinking about this a lot, and I was doing research, and I was looking at like what do people think the worst DLC of all time is, and I feel like a lot of articles and a lot of whatever Reddit comments like miss the goal of the question, because a lot of it's like, oh, this was supposed to be in the game, but they cut it out, or like,
yeah,
the game was, the game sucked, and so like you had to buy this DLC, and there's a lot of stuff like that. Also, a lot of people saying horse armor, which like horse armor was $2 for 3 skins. Like, who cares? I don't know why that's like a thing that people care about.
They heavily advertised it. Like, it was like...
They did, but...
It was like, they really were trying to upsell, like, the lemon car kind of deal. It was just like, but it's just skins for your horse. Like, I don't...
But it was $2, and it's like you didn't have to buy it. So I don't...
No, I understand that, but it was how hard they sold it is what really got its reputation.
I don't know. I think now people wouldn't even blink.
No, not anymore. We've been groomed. to not care about that.
But I was thinking, so every DLC that I saw listed in these articles or these comments, I'm like, but those all like do make the game better. Like your experience is improved by having these DLCs, and I have a DLC where that is not the case, where the game is actively worse. And that is the High Roller DLC for Sleeping Dogs. You guys remember Sleeping Dogs?
I do. I never played it, but I remember it. Yeah.
So Sleeping Dogs was a Grand Theft Auto clone. Essentially, it was from a series. I cannot remember the series' name, but it's a series where you are an undercover cop and you have to decide, like, are you going to do the more lawful things, or are you going to try to blend more? And there's like a morality system for that. But Sleeping Dogs took the premise and it took it to Hong Kong, and it added like a fighting game style, like kung fu combat system in addition to the guns and the driving and all the stuff you would expect in Grand Theft Auto. And I like this game quite a lot. And I got all the DLC for it after playing it for maybe 10 hours. And the first thing, and a lot of games are guilty of this, and I think that it sucks, but like, if you buy a certain DLC, it will give you like guns and money, or in some RPGs will give you like stat ups, and you can't disable it. So so the game just becomes easier whether you want it to or not. Like it destroys the feeling of growth.
Right, because they just...
And I hate that.
Sometimes they assume you've already finished the game when you get the DLC.
Yeah, and Deus Ex Human Revolution, which is a game I love, also did that, where it's like, if you bought the Game of the Year edition, or whatever the version, whatever they called it, you would go into Jensen's apartment, and it's like, hey, you should open your mirror, and like, here's a bunch of money, and a bunch of stat ups, and a bunch of guns. But that's besides the point, because, I mean, a lot of games do that, and that's bad. But Sleeping Dogs, the High Roller Pack specifically, and the High Roller Pack, it gave you a bunch of money. It also gave you the super duper fast car, which I'm like, okay, I just won't use the car. Until I got to the point of the game where you have to do a race, like, for the story. And I'm not good at racing games in general. It's just not fun to me. I don't practice it. I like driving around in these games, but I'm not good at, like, beating other cars. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll just use this, like, the DLC car.
Yeah.
And apparently, if you are using the DLC car in this race, the game will crash right at the end of the race.
Oh, no.
But also, it autosaves when the race starts.
Oh.
So this DLC literally, like, made the game unplayable.
Yeah, so if you didn't know about that and you use that car, you're done.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
this wasn't like for everyone. This wasn't like an across the board issue, but I did find other people posting online that had this issue where it's like, yeah, you just have to start a new save file. Like, if you didn't make a separate save file beforehand, if you were just using the same save file and like, yeah, it auto saves over it. You cannot change the car because you pick the car and then you go to the race. And then once you're in that car in that race, like, you can't leave or it fails and you have to restart. And if you get to the end, whether you win or not, the game will crash.
I would lose it. I would totally lose it. But
yeah, no, I never beat that game.
I'm a person who plays a lot of Bethesda games, so I always just chronically save and have multiple save files in every game I play, because I've encountered dumb stuff like, oh, hey, guess what? You can't get out of the bunker that you're underground in now, and you saved inside here. So
when I play those kinds of games, I do the same thing, but it doesn't occur to me in a GTA clone to make multiple save files.
I never do that. So, like, if anything happens, I'm just done. Like, I never make multiple saves. Like, oh gosh. Wow.
I feel like every time I don't do it, it burns me. So, like, I haven't gone back to play my Nightmare run of Inquisition because I'm saved inside the Fade, and the party members I brought were not a good choice, and I cannot beat the boss on Nightmare inside the Fade, and I can't reload my save because I'm saved inside the Fade.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And I got so angry that I'm like, I'm done. I'm just not gonna play this game because I'm like 20 hours into my nightmare run and I don't want to restart.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. But I was just like, man, I've not played a lot of games where I had to worry about that. Like the only game that I've really had in the recent history that it had a lot of problems was the Dragon Age Origins one. It kept crashing, and that one's just a hard crash, and I can't get anything around it. So it's just like, I don't know. Like I've tried starting over and going through there, and it still crashes there. Like, so that multiple saves wouldn't work there. So, but yeah, jeez.
But that's frustrating because it sounds like you really liked that game.
I
and
did.
Then you never beat it.
Yeah.
He did too. Yeah. I was talking about Dragon Age, but yeah.
But yeah.
Sleeping Dogs.
Yeah, no. But yeah, it was the same thing where it was like, yeah, I love Sleeping Dogs. I mean, like, you know, whatever. I love martial arts games and I love GTA games. So and it was blended together really well and with a cool morality system. But after a point, just unplayable because of this DLC that I bought because I was so excited I bought all the DLC. So if I didn't, I would have enjoyed the game more. So there's a DLC that made it worse. It's not just like, this should, what, they cut this out of the game, whatever. Like, yeah, that sucks. But when you buy the DLC, that makes the game better. This DLC made it worse. And I'll never forgive it for that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Sasha, what's your dishonorable mention?
I had two that I was really kind of torn between because I have two that really, really angered me. But the one I settled on is Mad Moxie's Underdome in Borderlands. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's the only one that I don't have the achievement for. It's the reason I haven't completed Borderlands. I haven't attempted Mad Moxie's Underdome in probably more than 10 years, and I never will. And in my head, it's 50 rounds, but it's probably only 30, but I do know that twice in a row, I played it for hours with my brother and my husband, and we lost 2 rounds before the end. And I'm like, I cannot put myself through this again. I cannot do it. I want to beat both of you, like physically beat you both because we didn't get through this, and I want to break this game in half.
Oh man, yeah, that is a strong reaction.
And it's not even that good. All that it is just an arena. Like,
yeah,
it's not that good of DLC. It's Mad Moxie saying the same shit over and over and over again in the same rounds. So yeah, that's my pick.
All right.
Because it's left a blemish on my game card.
Personal vendetta.
That'll do it.
That's a good reason to. I like it. Oh man, I never played that DLC. And I don't like Borderlands because of the combat. So I get that. I can identify with that. Man, that game was annoying. I remember, so I had to play it by myself, right? Because I was, at the time when I played Borderlands, the first time, I think I played it on PC, like, by myself. No one else can play it on PC. That was my friends, because they all had PlayStation 3s, and I was super poor. It's when I first got married back in the day. I was making like $10 an hour, for like an internship job that I was driving an hour and a half one way for. So it was like, I had no budget for games, and I had that one, like, that was my PC game, and like, I had like Boom Blocks on the Wii. I think I had recently. Like, it was just, my gaming was just not in a good place in those days, and I played through Borderlands, and I hated the fact, like, hey, go into sub area, when you come out, all the enemies respawn, and they're not going to give you anything. And I'm like, okay, I guess I fight this guy again. And like, oh, jeez. And I just got so tired of the combat. But doing that like for 50 rounds and then or whatever it is and dying on the last couple, that's rough.
Twice. Like I just remember that it was like a day that we were like, we're gonna do it, guys. We're gonna beat Moxie's Underdome. We had drank a ton of energy drinks. We're like keyed up. Did it didn't happen.
That is.
And then all the caffeine rage. Oh.
Yeah. Wow.
I can't even I will never attempt it again. I will never go back to it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I was just saying in the words of the great Prince Zuko, that's rough, buddy. And I've been saying that a lot lately.
That's a classic.
Oh, so speaking of Prince Zuko, Steve, you might appreciate this. So I've been into a new card game called Flesh and Blood, and they spoiled a new.
Okay.
They spoiled a new like they run off of classes and stuff, and they spoiled the next characters coming upcoming set, and they have like a ninja. The ninjas aren't an unusual class. They have a couple other ones, but he's literally Prince Zuko. Like, he's got a scar over his eye. He can control fire. Like, and I was just like, it's just like the only thing.
You can't copyright a burned eye, you know. So
no, I guess not. Yeah, I'll have to send you a picture of him later on when I can find
do
it.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's just 100%. So like I've been like, in the words of Prince Zuko, that's rough, buddy. So much this week because of that spoiled card. Oh man. So there we go. Mad Moxie's, is it Underdome or Thunderdome?
It's Underdome, but it is heavily implied Thunderdome theme. Yeah.
Okay. So Mad Moxie's Underdome from Borderlands 1. Considering I don't like that game in general, I can feel just the premise of that DLC being dishonorable. All right, so mine's a more of a general one, but I can specify it to a couple games. And it's like, for me, the biggest pet peeve of like any sort of DLC or anything is just not real, like, in-game currency. Like, not a real currency. Like, here's $15 for like 2,500 Blizzard bucks or whatever that you can spend in the game. Like, having an in-game currency that's like gold or whatever that you can earn naturally, but like having one that's like money-only currency is just awful.
The whole microtransaction thing.
Yeah, so the DLC that I would really point out is there's like a $50 buy like this currency that is like NBA 2K to just get like players and outfits and stuff. It just like that kind of stuff is just egregious to me when most of the sports games are roster updates with small mechanics changes. And then like,
so then you got to pay for the roster update.
And then you got to pay for the roster update and this weird pseudo currency that doesn't because like it never works out even too. If you've ever bought this kind of currency, because I have for Overwatch. Like I bought some of that for Overwatch. League of Legends I used to play a lot. It never works out. So you buy this like whatever $50 pack, right? You get all this currency. It'll equal like 2.3 characters, like or something like that. Like it won't. It's worth a lot less than you would think. It's so greedy and it's so egregious, especially in these sports games. Like I didn't know about this until my friend talked about. Like he had like we did our game of the year discussion, and he was praising how much better it was in this game. And what he was telling me was like his better version was basically the standard of League of Legends. And League of Legends is one that I kind of have a bad taste in my mouth about still. Like, Because when I used to play it, like we're talking pre-kids, so at least 8 years ago in my case. Sometimes, like, because I'm thinking even before pregnancy, I stopped playing. So I think, yeah, like 8 years ago, I think probably the last time I really seriously played League of Legends and spent that currency. But like, it's like a sunk cost, because if you stop playing that game, it's just gone. Like it's one thing you buy the game and you don't play it anymore. It's another thing if you buy the game and you buy all this extra stuff and you just got like stuff sitting there in the game that it just it aggravates me. It aggravates me to no end.
That's why that Rock Band DLC is great, because you buy a song, it takes you 3 minutes to play the song, and then you're like, yeah, that was great. That was worth $2. Like,
right, because that makes sense. That's like a thoughtful decision. It's like it's even worse than something like Overwatch, because it was a loot box. Like, so you bought this currency to get a loot box to possibly get what you wanted. Not even all the time. And these sport games were doing the loot box approach, and he was happy that like they took the League of Legends approach, where you're like, oh no, but now you can just directly buy what you want. And I'm like, yeah, League of Legends has been doing that, and it still doesn't feel great, because like you can sync, like, at the time when I was playing, my brother and I did some math, and between the two of us, like having unlocked so many characters, like you could obviously in League of Legends you can do it through playing the game. You can unlock every character. That's not a problem. It's the skins, and I don't care about the skins. That's cosmetics. They're cool. I would like to, but like just to unlock characters through that currency would be like hundreds of dollars. Like if you want to get started.
Yeah.
And League of Legends doesn't do anything like, hey, you started playing, here's your free character. They don't do that. They have a rotating of free characters every week, and that's it. But you don't own any characters until you buy them. Like, so I was just like, I really don't like this. So like any sort of like in-game, not tied to real money currency, I just don't enjoy.
Especially in a game you already bought. Like,
right. Like the sports games, like, to me, are just the most egregious, period, that do that.
So I feel like I encounter that the hardest in like Heroes of the Storm, but at least that's like a free game to start with.
And Heroes of the Storm and League of Legends have the same model. You can get that currency, and it's mostly for cosmetics, and you can still unlock everything through a lot of play. But man, I forgot. The last time I played was with you and Pan. What was like a year ago? Heroes of the Storm. We played a little bit.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we played a few rounds. It was before I injured my wrist, so it must have been pre-June, last year.
Yeah. Wow. I forgot about that. I was like, I was really into playing Diablo again. The character Diablo into that game, because it was just me.
No, that right now is the exact kind of game that would just like cripple me for a day.
Yeah.
It's so much like precision mouse movement and like just tons of clicking.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. That's what those games are. A lot of micro movement. It's actually like a thing in those games. It's like how good a player is their micro movement or whatever. Just to dodge attacks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, can't be doing that anymore. I've been playing Dicey Dungeons lately because I can use the touch screen on the Switch to play it.
Fair enough. All right. So did you find your third one, Steve?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. Also, I have some honorable mentions, things that I was like, that was neat, but I can't like really discuss. But Europa Universalis has a DLC that adds like Sabaton, the metal band, as like music. I think that's neat. You have a whole bunch of classical or music, and then like Sabaton will come on. And they even added an option to disable it when you're Twitch streaming. Like it's an option in the base game, but it only does anything if you have this very specific DLC.
Right.
And there's a Total Biscuit announcer pack in StarCraft 2.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
But, like, I don't really have anything to say beyond that. It's, it's pretty neat to have Total Biscuit tell you that, like, you're not doing a good enough job in co-op.
Right. Yeah. They did a lot of announcer packs.
They did, yeah. There's a lot of Korean ones with, like, no subtitles.
Well, I mean, it was huge in Korea, so I get that.
I think it still is, but yeah. But no, okay, so my actual pick, and this is one where I had to kind of lean and search for it, but I do agree with it. It is it is like the Wonders of the Ancient World DLC for Civilization 5.
Oh, okay.
So this came out before any of the actual expansion packs, and it was the first thing that added more wonders to Civ 5.
Okay.
So all the DLCs before it were just another leader, but leader DLCs are kind of like, well, they're fun to play as, but otherwise it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But this added the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, which gave you just like tons of money if you built it. It had the Statue of Zeus, which made your entire, like, every unit just had 15% more attack strength, like, forever. And it added the Temple of Artemis, which I'm hoping I'm not getting this confused, but I think it was all of your cities get 10% more food. Or it was like you get +1 food for every, like, camp. I don't know. It was something that gave, like, your entire empire like, a ton of food. So these 3 specific wonders were all kind of overpowered, but that made it, like, really exciting to race for them, especially in, like, real multiplayer games.
Okay.
But also it added the only scenario I played more than once, which was the Wonders of the Ancient World scenario, which was super duper fun because it slowed down research without slowing anything else down. So normally, like in Civ, if you want to play a long game, it just kind of slows everything down. So it's going to take you like 40 turns to build that first monument or whatever. But in this mode, it was like, okay, building a monument still takes 10 turns, but it will take 40 turns to research the next thing. So you didn't feel like just bored waiting to like make units, or if you get attacked, like, well, it's going to take me 30 turns to make a swordsman, so I guess I lost.
Yeah.
It got rid of that, but it let you just kind of hang out in the ancient and classical periods and just like develop your civilizations that way. Now, I mean, Civ is balanced so that like you are supposed to be constantly getting techs and like making decisions on like what thing you want to build, and you don't really have enough time to build everything. So this kind of created a separate issue where like everyone would always have everything and all the cities were too strong. But it was still just super fun to be like, okay, no, like these guys, like the Romans have extra good, or I don't think you could be the Romans, but like the Greeks had extra good, like they had hoplites instead of spearmen. And in normal Civ, that doesn't matter that much because in 40 turns, you're not using spearmen anymore. But being able to like, no, like this, like hoplites are good, and I'm going to be using hoplites for the entire game feels good and fun.
Right.
So I remember in college when I would be playing multiplayer Civ with people in my dorm, and they were like, we don't, buying a DLC, like whatever. Like I bought this DLC for everybody on my floor, or, everybody who played Civ. I mean, because it was like $3 to $5. I don't remember. It wasn't much.
Right.
But yeah, it cost me like $30 so that I could have a like 7-player game where we were all trying to get the Statue of Zeus at once, and it was awesome.
I do like Civ, and I think 5 is my favorite so far. I tried 6. Did you play 6?
I played quite a lot of 6, not as much as 5. I will say, so you got to have the 2 expansions for 6. Like, I would say even more so than 5. Like 6 needs the expansions, And also, this was kind of my runner-up. Civ 6 had a what they called the New Frontier Pass,
Mm-hmm.
which was basically it was like separate DLCs, and every DLC added like just kind of a quirk that you could throw into your games. So one of them
Interesting.
added like natural disasters,
Oh, okay.
like
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 Godzilla.
occasionally there will be like not like Godzilla, but like
Yeah.
sometimes there will be a flood, and like the flood will like damage all the tiles. But if you build a farm on like a damaged tile, it makes more food because it's like fertilized floodlands.
Sure.
Also, like it added this mechanic where like you could at a holy site make a soothsayer that would like predict natural disasters, or like you could send your soothsayer to a volcano in the enemy civ and he could like make the volcano erupt.
Oh, wow.
So that was like one of these. There's one that's like secret societies where like every civ can join a different secret society. So there's like a Cthulhu worshipping one, there's like vampires, and they all do like something super different. So like the vampire one, it lets you build a unique unit that's like, or a unique tile that's like a vampire castle, which is like a way like a super improved fort, and it also gives you a vampire unit which like just has a ton of health, and every time it kills a unit it like recovers health.
That's insane. Like, that's like total fantasy versus like what this is
Yeah.
like grounded in history series. That's insane.
No,
Holy
yeah,
cow.
it's super. It adds like a Cthulhu worshiping one, which like I forget. I remember they got like special like buildings that they could build that were just like better. Um, trying to remember the secret societies was just kind of nuts. But another note it added was like, which is probably my favorite was it's like legendary heroes.
Okay.
So like so faith in Civ 5 and 6 becomes kind of useless like pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like after you kind of make your religion, there's not much to do with it. But the legendary heroes is like you can use your excess faith to like recruit Beowulf or King Arthur or Sun Wukong or like
Hmm.
all these different like legendary heroes from culture, and they all do something different.
Hmm.
And once they're recruited to your civ, like that's it, you get them. They'll only be around for so many turns. I remember Sun Wukong like historically has eternal life, so he's around for like 40 turns. I suppose King Arthur's around for like 12. But then it's like when they eventually die or they expire, it'd be like they'll come up again when our civilization needs them, and then like only you can recruit them after that
Hmm.
because they're like loyal to your civ. Anyway, so there's like 7 of these that each add just kind of like a weird quirky mechanic, and you can have them all on at once if you want.
Interesting. Okay. Huh.
Also, one of them, this actually might be the most important, it shuffles the tech tree. Not like completely, like just kind of within eras.
Sure.
So it doesn't make as much sense, but it does be like, all right, I'm going to go to agriculture and then into astronomy because I want religion. Like that's, your go-to opening of every game. This would let you
Yeah.
be like, oh, I can't get astronomy until I have the wheel. Okay, I guess I'm getting the wheel first. Or like whatever your play
Sure.
style is,
Hmm.
it'll keep it, it'll just kind of shake it up a bit.
Yeah.
So that was like a $25 DLC that I think added. Like I was done with Civ 6 and I got maybe like 20 more games out of it because of that. So
Jeez. I didn't even finish my first game of 6 because I was just like, I can't. I couldn't handle the builders, the way they change the builders.
yeah, where they just kind of like they do
They
3
get
things and they're done.
consumed. Yeah, like I was just like, oh man, I have to keep building builders. Like I just learned how to play Civ 5. Like, what am I doing here? Okay, all right. So your actual recommendation was Civ
It was the
5
Civ 5 Ancient Wonders,
Ancient Wonders.
but also if
Honorable
you
mention.
can't if you played Civ 6 when it came out and you were bored with it, which I was, and I put 1,000 hours into Civ 5, I think I just saw an ad, like they just put out, like, I think it's Civ 6 Anthology. It's like, because they did the complete edition, which had all the expansions, but then they did like all these things I just told you. So now there's like more than the complete edition is the Anthology edition, which now has everything. Like, pick that up. Just turn on all the weird modes. Oh, there's a mode where like you can monopolize luxury resources. That's kind of fun.
Okay. It's like, I own all the cotton. Deal with it.
I have all the spice.
Oh, there you go. That's a relevant one. He who holds the spice. Okay. So Sasha, what was your last one?
I picked Old World Blues from Fallout New Vegas.
Okay.
That's a great one.
Yes, I really like a lot of the Fallout New Vegas DLC. I was actually kind of torn between this one and Honest Hearts, even though Honest Hearts gameplay-wise is not the greatest, but story-wise I think it really adds a lot to it. But Old World Blues feels like you have Wild Wasteland on the whole time. It's very funny. So what happens is you get sent to this place called Big Mountain, and a lot of the details are very hazy because I haven't played this one in, probably like a decade. You meet these scientists in the think tank, and they have downloaded their consciousness and their brains into supercomputers. So they have like little computer monitor faces.
Okay.
And they maintain like their core personalities and memories and intelligence. They all send you on little missions to do their things that they would be able to do if they had bodies, but they can't do. But other things that you find, it really adds a lot to where a lot of the unique characters and the things that you fight come from. So you learn like where the Cazadors come from. You learn where Night Stalkers come from, which is basically failed DNA splice experiments on Big Mountain. But there's pretty cool. I think you get some unique weapons from that one. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it's the longest one as well, because I'm also a person that I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm going to exhaust every dialogue option. And I just remember, like, once you get into the think tank, I think I spent over an hour just talking to I think there's 5 of the scientists in there. Just an hour in dialogue. But I was cool with that because that's why I like those games.
Right. Yeah. It's funny, as much as I skip story in games, sometimes I will. Like, when it's an RPG, I will just talk to everybody. But, like, other games, I'm just, like, just blowing past through, like, dialogue where I just don't care. Like, I don't know what it is about RPGs, but I'm feel like, no, I gotta talk to everybody. Even if I don't care, I gotta talk to everybody. So, I get that.
You ever, like... Every once in a while, I'll challenge myself with a brand new RPG, and this feels weird, but it's kind of fun to be like, I'm going to roleplay a guy that doesn't like talking to people. And they're like, excuse me, sir, I have a quest for you. Like, I don't care. Just walk by him.
Yeah.
It's like just a fun mental exercise to do.
I tell you what, if you want to play a game that just feels like your just general personality, I heavily suggest Monster Hunter Stories too. You'll still do all the quests, but your character just doesn't give a crap and doesn't respond. Because he can't talk. I'm sorry. I know I brought it up again.
Staring at them.
Oh, dude, it was bad. It's so bad. They have the cat talk for you, first of all. Like in any weird anime thing. But then also, I got so mad at the point. There's literally a point in the story where they're like, what are you gonna do? And then your character just walks away, just like, and they literally are like, what does that mean? what are you doing? Like, I was like, at least they acknowledge it. I got to the point where I put on a helmet. Like they had an option you could put on your helmet in the cutscenes, and I had a full helmet where you couldn't see my face at all. So they'd be talking to me in cutscenes, and you would just see this. It would cut to my character just standing there, nothing, just like a helmet on his face, just standing there.
It kind of reminds me. Did you ever play Persona 4, or really any of the Persona games?
I have not. I've heard a lot about them, but I have not. It sounds like a lot of stressful time management that I.
It's fun time management, I would say, but I can see how it would be stressful. Anyway, so it's a whatever silent protagonist game. Like, very literally, your character doesn't say much; they kind of just respond to questions.
Right.
Well, they made an anime out of it, and it's like, well, how do you make this character? So they made the main character be like completely stoic, and he just speaks in monotones, and he says very little like all the time, and people kind of look at him like he's a weirdo.
Yeah, because that's what would happen.
Because
like if you act like that in a social situation, people will be like, "What are you doing, butthead?"
I just remember there's this one part, and this is in the anime, and this is exactly what happens in the game. But he like reaches into this portal, and like something bites him, and he pulls his hand out, and he's, ow. And they're like, "Are you okay, man?" "I might be dying, but I think I'm okay." And they're just like looking.
But I think I'm okay.
What's wrong with you?
Why would you do that, you idiot? That's funny. So is this something that I should get? Because I talked about playing New Vegas at some point, Sasha. So is this something
Have you not played New Vegas?
No, I haven't.
Oh, put that in front of Mass Effect because
yeah,
shorter, but yeah, you should play New Vegas 100%.
I'll try. Like I've got you talk about Civ got me like I might actually want to play City Skylines again. I might actually want to build another city. Like I have some ideas of what I'm
talking about. Civ made you did not want to play more Civ, but maybe play a different game.
Well, okay, because what I like out of Civ, Civ is fine too, but like I don't know. My yeah, it's I don't know. Like again, it's that weird. I know it's because it's my hype for Monster Hunter is bringing everything else down. I know that's what the problem is. I go through this every year. The only thing it didn't happen with was Rise because I got a PlayStation literally like 4 weeks before Monster Hunter Rise came out, and I was like, all right, I have a PS5. I have so much time to do how many games before Rise comes out? So I blitzed. I don't know if you were part of remember that part of the that time, Steve, or not, but I finished.
I do remember that, yeah.
Because I finished like Spider-Man Miles Morales, like Hungry Shark or whatever it was, like all sorts of things, or no Maneater. That's what it was. I platinumed Maneater in like 3 days. Like it was just like I was on a roll, and then Rise came out and I was good. But this time it's just like I literally just finished everything. And we're waiting till June 30th.
Yeah, if you thought the Outer Worlds was cool, but just not like great, yeah, play New Vegas.
New Vegas is chef's kiss.
Okay,
I'll tolerate. I will tolerate every Bethesda bug for New Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to of the whatever Fallout 3 Oblivion on style that Bethesda did, New Vegas is just the peak of all those games.
It's because Obsidian did it.
Yeah,
Obsidian
that is
why,
good. But
Obsidian is a great developer. I mean, they did. I really like. Obviously the Diablo clones, and I talk about this a lot. But they did one in the worst style that I like. Like I hate. I love Diablo clones for the randomization of loot and that kind of stuff, but there is a form of playing a Diablo clone that the loot is fixed. Like you'll go to this air room, this sword is in this barrel kind of deal. They did they did the Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance in those days that is fixed loot, and I love that game because of how well they did the quest design and all that kind of stuff. Like Obsidian legitimately is a good developer. And they made that game fun with fixed loot. And I was just like, I don't know how you do that, but you did.
I think that New Vegas, all of the DLC is very strong in New Vegas. There are Dead Money is really challenging, I will say, but I really loved Dead Money as well. I think that the best companion that you get in New Vegas, you only get to have in Dead Money. Dean Domino.
I just can't get over in New Vegas, among all the wonderful things about that game. So luck is a stat.
Yeah.
And in many games, luck is a stat, and it means you get more loot.
Essentially.
And maybe you get more crits.
Yeah.
But because New Vegas is Vegas, if your luck stat is high, you will, like, win on blackjack more.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Like, to the point where, like, they will, like, you must be cheating and like, ban you from the casinos.
Well, you can break the bank. It's an achievement. They want you to do it.
So what you're saying is max luck. All right.
Oh, yeah. If you have max luck, you also end up finding, like, you'll find random bottle cap, like, stashes of 300 just in, like, a random locker somewhere. You'll find, like, big ammo caches randomly.
Yeah.
I found way better loot as well. Like, you find the stealth boys all everywhere. I think because I'm a loot hoarder in New Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
I have, like, I have like 80 stealth boys with my luck character.
Isn't it fair you're saying a loot hoarder in most of the games like that you play?
I sure am, yes, but like there's certain things that I hoard. So like with one of my characters, I pretty much take every drug and drink everything I find. So like that there's no hoarding of those items. But then with another character, I'm like, check out my alcohol collection here with all the whiskey you can find in the wasteland.
Gotcha.
And make sure you turn on when you play New Vegas, 100% get the Weird Wasteland perk or whatever.
Oh yes.
It's called.
Wild Wasteland is so funny.
Wild Wasteland.
Okay.
It just makes like weird shit happen.
Okay.
Like the one that sticks out to me is like there's a nuclear testing site, and if Weird Wasteland is on, you will find a skeleton inside a refrigerator next to it.
Oh, Indiana Jones.
Yeah, the Crystal Skull reference.
He has a leather hat too.
Nice.
Which is a good early in-game find, I will say, because I think it adds to your like crit chance, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Interesting.
My favorite Wild Wasteland thing is when the gang of old ladies, they assault you with rolling pins.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want a serious experience, you can turn it off and like not have your immersion broken. But if you want to have a good time, like 100%, it needs to be turned on.
Okay.
Oh, and sort of confusingly, you have to take this like instead of like a perk, instead of a stat up or like ability.
Because you can add 2 bonus perks in the beginning of the game, and Wild Wasteland is one of them. I don't like a lot of the bonus perks, because they're double-edged. Wild Wasteland is the only one that's not a double-edged perk.
I thought that, like, I don't know. I feel like you could take Confirmed Bachelor right off the bat, and that's, like, strictly good.
Confirmed Bachelor is one that you have to level up to get. It's the, like, like 4 Eyes is one that I usually will pick, is that if you have glasses, you get +2 perception, but if you're not wearing glasses, you get -2 perception.
Oh, okay.
There's there's one called Kamikaze where I think you get more action points, but you get like decreased damage threshold, which is super important in New Vegas, but not so important in any of the other games.
Interesting. I like that 4 Eyes. It's like, hey, you get an advantage for wearing glasses. This is not an advantage. This is so I can see like a normal human being.
Right. Yeah.
Like
they botched the prescription on these ones. I have like 20/25 vision with these glasses on.
Oh no. I yeah, it's been a thing since I've been a kid. It's like my younger daughter has glasses and she can kind of function without them. So she just assumes that's right for me. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I cannot. Like, I even had to explain to her, I was like, look, Daddy isn't allowed to drive without glasses. It is illegal. It is on my license. It says, if doesn't have glasses, throw his butt in jail. Like, because I can only, without them, there. That's as far as I can see. And then I lose details. Like, and it's not like a detail, it's all the details. So I appreciate that the game could possibly make you feel like a superhero for wearing glasses. Granted, it's decreased if you're not wearing them, but like, plus if you do, that's I like that idea.
Yeah. Perception is a pointless perk in New Vegas.
Oh well, okay, fine.
Like, you don't want to not have any perception, but it's not that important.
Gotcha.
I usually take the Four Eyes perk because I don't put very many points in perception, so I can put them somewhere else in New Vegas. And
Fair.
then I take the Four Eyes perk so that I can have like a functioning level of perception, but
not have to worry about it.
I forget.
Yeah.
Do you have to have like glasses, or do sunglasses count?
Sunglasses count. I like
That's
those
hilarious.
Ranger, those NCR Ranger glasses.
That's hilarious because, yeah, sunglasses totally wouldn't help. 100. Oh,
Maybe
man.
they're transition lenses.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't be sunglasses if you're inside. They would just be normal.
Although just be prescription sunglasses, those exist.
They do.
Yeah.
I used to have some.
And every person you kill happens to be wearing your prescription.
Yes. Coincidentally, it's a very common one. They all have this exact stigma in their left eye. All right. So what was that one called?
Old World Blues is the one that I
Old
picked.
World Blues.
Yes, because
Okay.
it is, I think, it is the lighter of all the choices.
Sure.
It's pretty funny. I liked it.
Okay. So Fallout New Vegas, Old World Blues. All right. So my last one is a DLC that was in some ways controversial, but in other ways really awesome for Doom Eternal. It's the Ancient Gods Part 1. And the reason why it's controversial is because they took the difficulty notch from Doom Eternal. I would say is if you want to do it well, like what I play on default is a harder mode than you probably should have been playing, but because it's Doom, I tell myself I gotta play on Ultraviolence because that's what I play on Classic Doom. So I beat Ultraviolence 100%, and then I put Ultraviolence on in the Ancient Gods Part 1, and it felt like nightmare mode with like no deaths, and it was insane. So the Ancient Gods Part 1, to explain, is literally they had 2 story DLC packs that came out after the game. And the difficulty spike from end of the main game to the beginning of this game is miles apart. Like, in the main game, they make it a big deal when you face a cyber demon, which a cyber demon is this like gigantic 20-foot tall minotaur with a rocket launcher for an arm, and it's as difficult as it sounds. Like, it's rough, and there's only ever one of them at a time. They, like, in room 4 of this game, put you in a room that is like, by the way, it's also an open arena when you fight the cyber demon. They put you basically, it feels like a closet in comparison, like a hallway with a single cyber demon, and then you get halfway down that hallway and they spawn a second one behind you, so you're sandwiched between 2 cyber demons, and there's like first level of like 3 levels that this thing gives you. and it's just like the difficulty just whoosh. It's just like a cliff. It's just.
This is like the 2 Banshees that I was talking about in Mass Effect 3, where I was like, I don't think I'm going to beat this on Insanity. I don't know if I can beat 2 of you at the same time. I did. I don't know how. I still don't know how.
Right. That's what this kind of does. Like most games, they'll ease you back into it. Like, hey, here's a little bit of a light fight, and we'll start getting a little like. Literally, the first encounter in this thing is like on the level of the last encounters of the last one. You're like, okay, so what are we doing here? They throw at you 2 cyber mancubus, which are some of the harder like fodder enemies because they're armored and stuff. So like you have to use a special move to de-armor them, then you can kill them. A bunch of cacodemons, like everything just like out the gate, and then it's like the whole DLC is just that way. Everything all the time at you. Like they have this enemy in the main game called the Marauder, and he's got this really awesome intro, which you guys can probably hear that freaking what the crap. My window's not even open. Holy cow. Anyways, they have, so he's like the Doom guy's like antithesis. Like he actually used to be like in his squad or whatever, and he's got an axe, and he like you can only hurt him when he flashes green. His eyes will flash green, and that's the only time you can hurt him. And then there's like actual like specific strategies to kill this guy, and he has a whole intro, and it's a big deal. Anytime you fight one of them, it's like a big story thing. This DLC frequently pits you against 2 of them, like at the same time, and you're like, "What? How? Why? What are you doing?" Like, and then they add this cool mechanic twice because it happens different ways. Of hey, everything you're fighting in the room is buffed until you kill this specific monster, and one of them is like a ghost that possesses the monster. So, like, it's like a possessed, so you kill it, which it's harder to kill now. It does more damage, and it's faster. And then the little ghost thing comes out, and there's only a specific mod on a specific weapon that can kill that ghost. Else it goes and possesses something else. And it's just like, and you have to sit there. It's the plasma rifle. There's like a charge beam on the plasma rifle where you sit there, like, fry it to death with an electrical thing. And the ghost will stop and stuff, but the thing is you're sitting still shooting at one thing for like a good 15 seconds, which means you're pretty much dead if you're sitting duck. So like you have to still dodge everything else while you're microwaving this ghost, and it's just insane. Like it was I actually streamed the 3 levels. Now, it was not good quality when I streamed it, so I didn't save them. They're no longer available because my internet was a lot worse in those days. But I think Ace was watching at the time, and you could tell I was sweating, like full-on sweating after the end of every level. I was just like, I don't know what they're doing. This is insane. And it actually caused so much of a controversy of like the difficulty spike. The second DLC was easier, and we're talking incredibly easier. It became another controversy because they were like, it's too easy now.
That's incredible. You can't even so like on the hardest difficulty it was too easy. Like I almost can't wrap my head around that for Doom.
Right. Well, they did a lot of things that, like, they added this weapon. It's just like the hammer, and it was just like it did this thing, and it's really weird. If you use this extra weapon, and it was just like your chainsaw, you could just pull it out whenever it was charged up or whatever. It would stun enemies for like 5 or 6 seconds, and everything around you was stunned. So it was just like, hey, all the intensity, turn it off for 5 seconds. And that was like, there was nothing in the game up to that point that did that.
They added VATS, basically.
Kinda. Not really, but I mean, like you did it in slow down time, but they just basically things.
Fallout 4 doesn't totally slow it down, but
Oh, okay.
it's basically like you stunned everybody for however long your VATs last for.
Interesting. Yeah, because Fallout 3 time was just slowing down.
Oh yeah, that you could
No,
basically pause the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was stopped in 3 in New Vegas, and then in
yeah.
4 in Outer Worlds it slowed down.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Yeah, three is the one where I had the problem because it was just like 98% chance to hit the head. And I'm like, well, if I unzoom, it's 100% because I'm actually good at shooting games, so I'm just not going to use it.
Yeah, you don't have to use VATS. Like, you really don't.
Yeah, it was one of my many annoyances with Fallout 3 at the time.
Use Melee in New Vegas. It's fun.
I'll
I don't think I ever used Melee in New Vegas.
Are you serious?
I'll look into that.
Oh man.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. It's been a long time, but I feel like I would just use like pistols all the time.
Oh man. The Power Fist is awesome. There's I think there is a shish kebab in New Vegas. That's pretty good.
I feel like I'd remember that if I had used it. So
I cleared out the entire Legion camp with a Power Fist.
This sounds like
I might have to go
something
back
I
to
want
New
to do.
Vegas once I'm better.
Yeah, once your wrist can handle it.
Yeah, which hopefully will just be another month.
Okay.
Just in time for summer vacation. And then I can re-injure it again.
Oh boy. Well, hey, I know you don't play it as much as Pan, but Monster Hunter's coming out in summer.
I just can't. I can't do Monster Hunter. Like I compare myself to you and Chelsea and your whole group, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting it, and they're like, no, Steve, the monster we're fighting is on this other side of the map. You just killed a thing that doesn't even fight back. I'm like, oh, how do I get over there?
Oh,
just climb over this mountain. Come on, let's go. Like, oh, wait.
Climb over the mountain. What do you mean by climb over? I get it. Yeah. Oh man, we had a lot of fun times though.
Yeah, I think if I found like other people who didn't know how to play and we could learn together,
sure,
I would probably have a really good time. But like, if I play Monster Hunter, we can sensei you. But like, so if I play, I very much feel like I'm holding people back, and that's just not fun for me.
Okay. I mean, to me, I don't. I have like, I'm sure all of us being. You've played a lot of D&D too, as well, Sasha, right? As someone who has regularly had to teach people how to play D&D, I have the patience to teach people to play other games. Like, it's there.
I get where you're coming from, though. That's how I feel, but it's because I am the person that gets frustrated with the player who is holding us back as well. So I don't want to be that person who does that.
I mean, I can understand that. I don't like being that person myself, but as someone who is better at something, I'm usually very patient. I mean, like, when I've been doing a lot of the flesh and blood stuff during the week, I've been actually teaching people to play a lot, and I haven't got to do a lot of like high level play. So it's kind of like that, where I'm just like, hey, here's how we get in the game. I'll play my easier thing, and that's not very tuned, and we'll have fun. And then I play against my brother, and he stomps me into the curb as usual with any card game or strategy game or anything. Like. Although he did point out I did beat him this week. I did beat him, but it was only because he rolled terribly. He has a character that was like, hey, if he rolls a 6-sided dice, he rolls a 5 or 6, he doubles his attack. If he rolls a 4 or below, he halves his attack essentially, and he halved his attack on every attack that turn. And I was just like, yay! because I did a super dumb and risky thing that gave him a bunch of cards and a bunch of advantage, and he just unlucked it all, and I was like, yes, I can win, because he just beats me. It's just, the moral of the story is my brother just beats me in games. But I don't really have a problem helping people out. You know, we had we've had Joy-Con Jay on here a couple times, Sasha, you remember, and his son was actually on playing with us a couple times, and you know, it didn't mind at all, sort of like toning it down so we could have him play and have fun. Like, although I was just crown hunting at that time, so it was just like, yeah, we'll do whatever, because I've already done everything.
But also, when I started physical therapy, I had to give up Elden Ring.
Oh,
and when
no.
I'm better, I get to go back to Elden Ring.
Okay. All right. I don't know what it was. I'm pretty sure it's the Monster Hunter blues that I've been having. But like when I started my second save on Elden Ring, I was like, I don't want to do anything about this. I'm good. I don't want. I already did this. I'm
No,
done.
whoever the first like real boss is, the guy who always starts by throwing the knives at you. I can't remember his name.
Godric.
I don't know. There's that boss. He like the first thing he does is he throws knives at you, and you just like sidestep them.
Maybe it's
Anyway,
Rogue
I fought him
or
like
something like that.
for maybe an hour and a half, and I was like, I kept being like, I'm gonna get him this time, and I certainly
Maybe
like
Margit. Yeah.
set my recovery back a week on that one boss
Ooh.
fight.
That's rough. Is he the one that jumps off the castle wall? Like he jumps
I
down
think
from the
so.
castle
Like
wall?
he's got like a cutscene, and he like jumps down and is like, "Hey, good job getting this far, but you're not getting any farther."
Right. I believe chat got it right. I think that's Margit.
Yes, Margit. Yeah, that's who it was. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had to stop trying because my wrist hurt too much, and then it hurt for a week, and then I started physical therapy after that. It was like maybe I should just not play Elden Ring.
That's fair. That's a rough game. And Monster Hunter can be just as rough as far as execution goes. Yeah, I mean, I would say something like Slay the Spire or something that is just more tactical would be a lot easier on you.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've been playing Dicey Dungeons, which is like I would call it a simplified version of Slay the Spire,
Oh,
but
okay.
it works way better on a touchscreen than Slay the Spire does. And Slay the Spire, I tried that and I kept like touching the wrong cards.
Card. Okay.
But Dicey Dungeons, it's Slay the Spire with dice, basically.
I might have to look at
Instead of
into that
cards.
because I really liked Slay the Spire, but I've got to a level where it's like I've gotten to like level 4 and 5 on every class, and I'm like, this is a little too hard for me now. I want to kind of tone it down, so I might look into Dicey Dungeons.
Yeah, I'd say Slay the Spire is better than Dicey Dungeons in like every single way, except that like Dicey Dungeon works better on a touchscreen.
Okay. I mean, I still want to look into it.
But it's fun. In that like kind of once you get the hang of it, you can like watch a show and like half pay attention to it and
Sure.
like.
I mean, that's a good podcast game, is what I would call that. It's listen to a podcast while I'm playing something. For a while there, actually, I have been playing Nightmare Reaper as well, but like Nightmare Reaper is very execution heavy, and I'm at the end of the game, so it's not become a good podcast game lately. So I don't know. So yeah, Ancient Gods Part 1 was an amazing DLC that I quite enjoyed. And I actually kind of been watching some content about that controversy I was talking about lately. Because I didn't know it was a huge controversy. I just played it and I was like, man, that was tough. Oh boy. Like, I didn't know people were like, this is insane, id. What are you doing? You're hurting me. Any other honorable mentions that you guys have? I don't have any anymore per se.
I have an honorable mention for the dishonorable category. Okay. I don't really have
A
anything to say about it,
mention?
but
yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, which I just can't get because they didn't put it on PS4, and I can't find a PS5 anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, it just might as well not exist. DLC for a game that I own. I can't play it.
Wait. It's not on the PS4 version?
So there's a PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
But the Intergrade, the one that like adds the Yuffie stuff, you cannot play that on the PS4.
What? Okay. That's not cool. I mean, I don't like that game, but okay.
Well, I really liked Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
It's the only Final Fantasy game I've ever beaten. And I would really like to play it, but I can't because I can't find a PS5 anywhere, and it's only on PS5.
Yeah, I was lucky to get my PS5, and then Chance was lucky to get his, but Chance got his over a year later than I did. And that's with us actively looking. Both times. Both of us actively looking, by the way. Not just him. Actually, I was probably more actively looking for his PS5 than he was, to be honest. Because he was in anime land, and he's still in it. I bet you he's watching anime right now. I bet you could go upstairs right now and be watching anime.
Yeah, it's not the worst way to spend your free time.
I know. I just make fun of him for it now because he stopped playing a lot of games with me to go watch anime. So I give him crap about it. Although it is funny. Like, I did walk in. He was telling me about there was like a particularly, he calls it a saucy, but a particularly like adult rated one that like has some fan service stuff, and he's watching it for the story or whatever. He's not,
Yeah, that's what he says.
Sure. Whatever.
Well, what's he watching?
I really don't remember, dude. I'm the wrong person to be asking.
Okay, that's fine.
But
No,
every time I go,
curious.
Yeah, I go upstairs and I knock on the door and I peek my head around the door real quick and I was like, did I catch something dirty? No. Okay. And he's just like, why do you do that? Watching it for the story. I like that. I don't know what it was. I don't know. It was something about kingdoms and like he got teleported to a kingdom and he was like from...
I mean, that is its own genre.
I know.
That is literally a genre of anime now. It has a name. It's called isekai.
Yeah, but like, okay, I do know a little bit more of the plot to narrow it down because he's told me the whole show. There was like these bunny people, and she was like a bunny princess or something like that, and the guy was like from like the Japanese military, and like it was another one of the harem ones where like there's a bunch of girls that like him, and there was like elves, and they blew up a dragon with C4, and like...
By the way, I don't watch any modern anime except for Dr. Stone, so I have no idea. But
okay. I don't know. I haven't watched any either. I mean, like, I think One Punch Man is the last one I watched because that's hilarious to me. I mean, make fun of superheroes all day. I love it.
What about Demon Slayer? I watched one episode of Demon Slayer.
Yeah, I haven't watched Demon Slayer. I don't even think Chance watched that one.
All right, I'm pretty tired.
Yeah, no, I gonna wrap it up. So yeah, thank you for coming on, Steve. Thank you as always, Sasha. Next week will be the quiz week. I already gave the years to Ace and Sasha. I'm still in the process of picking all the games. However, I do have 3 years completed, I think. I'm too afraid to double check because then it'll pop up on stream. I don't know which window it's on that I was working on. But I do believe I have 30 of the 50 games picked. So it's getting there. So I'll probably put a lot more time into that this week too to come up with a quiz. But By the way, Steve, we're not quizzing on 50 games. I'm using a 10-sided die to pick 3 different games in each year.
Trying to make it a little less predictable what he's going to pick.
Right.
You should just do all 50.
That's a ton of time. That's a lot of questions for me to come up with. Holy cow.
All right.
I don't know if I could do that. But yeah, so as a reminder to listeners, if you're going to try to study up, because I do have that readily available. We were doing the years 1996, 2000, 2008, 2011, and 2016. And to be fair, I will say this. When I was picking the games for 96, which I've already done, there was a lot in 96. There was a lot more games than I expected in 96. Like, 96 is one of those hot years in gaming, apparently. Because there was
I think you have another one in there there's a lot. 2011?
Yeah, did you say... What were the years again?
96, 2000, 2008, 2011.
Ooh, 2008.
2008 is huge.
Yeah. And 2016. Yeah, 2008, you did have a lot of options. There's certain ones where I'm like, I'm skipping some games. A, because we've already done them, because we've done a couple years already. But B, because there's just not enough. Like, there's just not enough room to fit. Obviously not every game, because no one knows every game, but like, not enough room to fit every notable game in that year either. So, yeah. So, yeah, that'll be next week, the quiz show. Be sure to tune in and see who gets to take home the championship on that. I don't know who we have coming on for the guest next week to do that, but Ace and Sasha will certainly be there. And we'll find someone. We always manage to. So yeah, if you guys want to keep up with the podcast, at HunterSubPod on Twitter. And then be sure to join the Discord if you want to get a hold of us too, which is you can find through the Twitter account. I think a couple of people have found the Discord through Twitter. And we'll be recording Bickering Bucks Tuesday for Tiny Tina's. So expect the episode out Wednesday or Thursday for that. Although I am getting a tooth pulled that day, so we'll see how well that episode goes.
I highly recommend drink pineapple juice before you go. Pineapple juice will reduce your inflammation, and drink pineapple juice afterwards. It really, really helped when I had my tooth removed.
Awesome. I will keep that in mind, because if you noticed, I wasn't drinking pop today. I was drinking only water because I went to the dentist and they were like, hey, you have 12 cavities and we got to pull a tooth on top of that. And I was like, excuse me, what? I brush my teeth, thank you very much, twice a day. and they were like, yeah, it's the pop. The pop is just basically eating away at your teeth. And I'm like,
whoa.
I guess I'm done with pop. It's just not happening anymore. So I am cold turkey since Thursday. So it's not been so long without pop, but a couple days. But I am done. Tuesday, I'm getting a tooth pulled, and yeah, we'll go from there and record. So yeah, Steve, is there a way people can get a hold of you if they want, or just Discord?
Yep, just Discord.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.
I won't. Bye.